now know. I know that I do this for YouTube. It's how I make my living in a way, Jonathan, because I used to work for the government. I found this stuff out and I couldn't in good conscience continue working in that way. So if you Google satellites in space, you'll find that every single photo that you'll get is actually an artist rendering. There's no pictures that someone has taken with a camera. Every single satellite in space. If you Google that, when you get home.
So you're saying now that they don't exist?
No, there are satellites, but they use helium balloons to float them. And we've seen video footage of these 5-ton. Let me finish. 5-ton satellites. No,
they're not in outer space. Then.
Yeah, they're not in outer space. There's no such thing as outer space. No, because I could build a satellite and then float it in the high stratosphere. Okay. Hold on. I could float it in the high stratosphere and actually...
No, I don't want to... You didn't ask me.
That's
Sorry,
right.
You've just been filming me.
Yeah.
Do you want to show me that that's true? Show me if that's true.
No, it's live now. I can't rewind it. I'm live on YouTube.
You're dodgy people.
Oh. You don't want more info? Oh, well. I was having a good conversation with him. Yeah, I was having a good conversation with him. And I didn't really want to spoil it. But
it was more on you, but there we go.
Cool. Well, I've gone back live again because I had to end that one. It was crashing again. And can I say your name?
Yes.
Indigo is holding the camera.
I'm a viewer.
And she got me a coffee, so thank you very much, Indigo.
You're welcome. You deserve it.
Thank you. Can I get you guys a photo?
And a lot more.
Mate, if I wanted someone to tell me spurious parts, I'd go to
What's the formula for the curvature of your sphere? To trigger some people. You can't live on a spinning stone. Water will always find a level. It will not roll down the side of a ball, Canterbury. You've been lied to about living on a sphere in outer space. That is complete poppycock. Fluid dynamics will show you that fluids will always must be contained and will always find level when at rest. Water will always find level. That's why we say sea level. The west coast of England has the same sea level as the east coast of England. You can travel up into the Ven depth 300 meters, but you will travel down 300 meters. That does not equate to a globe of 24,904 miles in circumference. We have been lied to from cradle to grave. Your grandparents were lied to control your mind, to keep you a slave. Because you don't believe religion, they gave you NASA. Because you don't believe God created this place, they gave you the moon landing and a space program that says you can get out of here. Well, you cannot. We are in a school. We are in a created environment. But there might be more continents on this created environment. Yes, sir.
I think you're right. For a long time, something is not adding up. Through all the science and everything. And all of a sudden, when you get close to the truth, all of a sudden, you realise everything is predicated on just assumptions.
Yeah.
Predicated on all of these ideas that really you could ultimately break apart unless you have a belief in such a thing. It's interesting.
And they use fear, because I think the globe model is a fear-based model. The dinosaurs went away apparently, and asteroids could hit us, and the sun could swallow us up, and aliens could come and run us over.
But you know, I never questioned anything at all. But the last few years it's made me question everything. And once you start questioning, actually it all falls apart.
Yes.
It's predicated on your belief system.
Falls into
And all
place.
for anything, hang on a second, God, okay, well, you know, is there a higher authority that we should answer to?
Do you mind if I...
Yeah, I don't tend to go for that, but that's fine. But no.
Well, I think that, I say to people that I think that whatever God is, it's residing in each of us. And we carry that scintilla of the Creator. And we are meant to therefore be at the microcosm level here. We are meant to be creating in that essence or in that vein. It's the same as the microorganisms in your body. If they're either creating for your good health or against it. Your microbiome. And so what we are doing is we're so worried about the people are being punished for the microbiome out there, but we're not being kind of informed about the microbiome and the importance of that. If your health comes from, your wellness comes from within, then that wellness will emanate outward. And eventually we as mankind, or God's essence, will find that loving place.
Yes,
Dis-ease.
exactly.
Yes, it's all dis-ease.
I've read so many scientific books, and I believe everything I've read because I trust people. Now I know quite clearly not to trust any one authority because they're
Yes.
just peddling a whole load of lies since the day we were born.
Yep.
And then you can unravel it if you want to.
Yeah.
If you don't want to, fine, don't want to.
Yeah.
But you can see it.
Yeah.
And then those people who question now called conspiracy nuts. You think, no, it's just the fact that they're questioning. And if they question, it's dangerous to your system. It's interesting, but no. But when I look at that, you look at density of matter, you look at buoyancy, you look at everything.
That kind of explains everything that I can test.
How far
Yeah.
can you go up? Why don't you just leave a live camera to take you all the way up,
Yeah.
and then continue?
Yeah.
Why don't you show us that?
Yeah.
We're not asking for much.
Yeah.
It's not us disproving it. You prove that you're doing it.
Put a camera on the moon. Put a camera on the moon. You know, do things that, and I mean, even Tim Peake's space flip when he was 6 years ago, I was already aware of this then, and I was watching it so closely on the big
Get a
screen.
lot of people looking at this and going, what is this? Crazy or something? Or do you just see
yeah.
people walking?
So if you go to any, it's more of that. People think that I am crazy a bit. You know, if you go to any religious house or any religious environment, and you say I'm the one who left that religion, people turned on me for leaving that religion. Well, we live in a belief system now, which of this, and once you turn from it, people want to shun you. People wanted to get rid of you. I don't know what-
Division everywhere.
Division-
Everywhere you look.
Division and separation.
Somebody just
Yeah, it's got a kid with a water gun.
Yeah.
No,
Okay,
you'll be
that's
right.
all right.
Yeah.
No, it's very, it's fascinating. The more you look into it, the more you realise the fact that we are believing things that are quite clearly not true.
Yeah.
But that forms our worldview, and we can't be taken out of that.
Yes.
You know, and if God is your ultimate prime mover, the original source of whatever information and
Yeah.
power and truth, none of it really matters.
Yes.
That's why I was asking, do a lot of people talk to you, or do they just move straight by and then...
Yeah, dismissive a lot, name calling, but some people, and perhaps more now since the last 3 years. Definitely now that I think about it more since the last 3 years.
Because I think this
Yeah.
is the ultimate. If you can crack this, everything else works.
It's like
And this is why it's so dangerous. Once because it was one of the biggest searches on the internet a few years ago.
Right.
Yeah,
And then it was shut out.
Second biggest search.
Yeah.
Well, why is that? Well,
Yeah.
people say, well, are these people crazy?
Yeah.
Or not?
Yeah.
It all seemed to take them down.
But
Yeah, it does. It does.
I think maybe it eventually does emerge, but I'm not sure how it's couched then. And truthfully, I think that a big part of it, it's flat Earth is like the gateway truth.
Yes.
But once you move through that, you can stay there, and a lot of people do, but you've got to keep moving beyond that. What does it mean beyond that?
There is,
I see you nodding. My wife was the same in 2015, 16. I was like, honey, but she's like, but there's more to it. And I started looking into the spiritual and the electromagnetic elements of what this world is. Not that I necessarily claim to understand what consciousness is and how we carry that. But I had an experience with ayahuasca in 2015 that showed me my higher self. It was like a near-death experience. And it was the moment where I went from being an atheist to a believer or a knower that there's a higher source and that we're infinite beings of light, it seems, and that we are here in this incarnation, this avatar, to have an experience, whether that be to grow our souls or whether that just be like a day at a holiday farm and when you camp and then you come back to like, oh, that was an interesting 80 years or whatever. I've just woken up from a day away, on Earth. And did I learn anything? Was I meant to learn something? Not sure, but for me it feels like we're meant to ascend, evolve, because what I see now is they teach evolution, but it's a devolution of mankind here. And what we should be looking for is that evolution truly, but in the spirit of love from which we come. That's how I think we're meant to be. And so that's why I gave up my 9-to-5 civil servant type life and had to do something
It
different.
takes a lot of strength to stand here when you're talking about this subject. Because as soon as you mention it, I love to question it. completely. I mean, I had a brain tumour 5 years ago,
Oh, wow.
and I'm lucky to even be here.
Wow.
It just wasn't my time.
Yeah.
And even before then, I was really questioning everything. And then when over the last 3 years, I got the health plan, and everything was just falling into place. And then we've got this nonsense of lock up, lock down. And it's like, come on, we know it from the very beginning.
Yes.
People are just going, no, and I was pushing back with everything. And I was called everything. Just simply saying, no, I'm not going to follow that. It's because you're trying to confuse me.
Yeah.
You've got people infighting because you're giving them two different sets of information, so they are going to not come together. We should just be forgetting that, walking around almost thinking we're trying to unite.
Yeah.
Because quite clearly, if we united, it would have fallen apart.
Yeah. But I agree. However, it's like this, where you take 10 puppies in a cage and you feed them for the first 3 months of their life with only 3 puppies worth of food. They will fight with each other. There will be weak ones. There will be dominant ones. And that's what mankind has gone through over the last few generations at least. We've been put in a zoo, pit against one another, and so that's affected our psychology, the energy. The sins of our father is the vibration, because it's all electromagnetic. It's the sine wave, and the compression of your sine wave, which causes the dis-ease, which can cause later illness, is what's happened to the minds and the souls of the mankind here. And so I feel like we need to not only learn this truth about the outside deception, but learn the truth about who and what we are inside. The first thing I said after the DMT, it lasted 7 minutes. The first thing I said when I got back up, because I was like the moment of my life. I was 47 at the time, and first thing I said is, it's true, there is a God. The second thing I said a minute later is that why isn't every child at 16 offered this as a rite of passage to you should know who you are? Because once you know who you are and what you come from, you will not proceed in the way of the corporation, working for the dead, supporting and lifting up this dead entity that seems to be controlling us all. And God says, you should not serve two masters. You cannot serve two masters. Either you're serving yourself via yourself, or you're serving someone else external. And that's what all the NASA and the government and the Vatican and all of these things are, is sort of to get you out, so that you do not live your true life. Live backwards is evil, so that you do not live your true life. And each of us, and so we're pit against one another. So until we're able to, and I went to church as a kid, but I pushed all of that stuff away. Not only had I seen the flat Earth in the Bible, but I'd also, not that I'd let it go, but I joked about it being a flat Earth book as a kid. I left all of that and saw the world. I'd been in war myself in Angola in '87, and so I'd seen what we do to each other and the wars that are going on in that.
I looked at that. Okay, that's fine. That's obviously quite clearly not the case. But what was I going to say? South African?
Born in Poole, raised in South Africa. 2 years national service. That's why I mentioned.
Right. So
we had to do 2 years. I was never drawn to going to do that kind of thing, but we had to do 2 years. I took it, like lightly, and I didn't take it seriously, but I ended up in a unit that was right on the front line for like a year and 3 months in combat. And I wrote a book about it. That was part of my awakening journey. With my mother dying in 2011, I write a book in 2012-13 about my time in the war in '87, and then I get given information. I gave a copy of my book to Prince Harry. It was so well received. But I got given information that my battles, the battles that I was in, were staged. Or rather, it was arranged by the Americans and the Russians, where we would be meeting with the South Africans in the end. The battles, and they were real, and people died on both sides.
This is something coming. Awesome. Can you pick it up? Okay. Interesting. I've got two. Do you want my one back?
Oh, yeah.
Cheers.
Ashton's guy got a lot of good stuff to say.
Where I was just playing them and saying, hey, not so much about flat Earth, but about the COVID and not taking the vaccine and blah, blah, blah. That was 2021, and I lost my big YouTube channel, and so I've had to start again. But we've been traveling, so we happen to be in Maidstone for a little while. I'll come back down here.
Around the same time.
start looking at history, you start thinking, well, who wrote that? Why were we given access to a certain amount of information? Who authorised it, and the publishing house, and all the rest of it? You start thinking, it's very
Who gave us the press? Just like who gave us the TV? Who gave us
right.
the internet? These things have been handed to us as means of control. So if you come across mud flood research, mud flood. Oh, this is a fascinating body of research, and I came across it in 2016, 17, and I've travelled an awful lot in the last 6 or 7 years, in England and other places. What you'll find, and when I've told you about it, is that there are so many buildings in the world that are 1 or 2 stories in the ground, built in the 1800s or before. And we believe this Canterbury, just down the road there, they'll tell you over that bridge, if you go into that building on the left over the bridge, they'll say, this is the floor level in 1700s. Come down another 5 stairs, this was the floor level for Canterbury in the 1500s. And so we believe that actually there have been cyclical events that have washed over the land.
I haven't looked at it too much, but I have heard of that.
And I love this city for that, you know. And then you look at the cathedral, apparently 800 years old, built by horse and cart people. And we look at that today and we go, wow, that's grand, isn't it? And do we turn? No, we don't go. We don't care for that. We don't. But when churches build new buildings today, they're like brick and bare, you know, a few stories up, and they're nothing special. But 800 years ago, they could build like this. We think there was higher technology. And there were higher cultures. Abraham Hancock.
Technology and civilizations that just won't fit into the historical.
Well, let me. So, because you've got such an open mind, I'm just going to throw something that it first maybe, you know, but you'll have to go and look at this. Is that, but a building like this cathedral behind me is with all these spires and so on. We call it antiquity. A friend of mine coined that phrase, and it's actually that these were devices for harnessing energy from the ether, from the atmosphere, and they could power. Now I'm theorizing, but that they could power a city. With all the lighting it needed from this device, and not only that you could go there for healing, that it was a resonance device, and then all these shapes and things that you see are all like harmonics that you see when you do like something like the DMT. You see this fractal sort of patterning to everything, the background of everything. Because during the DMT, this was weird to me, right? I mean, I haven't touched any drug or anything like that in this 8 years since I did it, but it was the most awakening moment of my life, and in that time, everything seemed to be made of light. The guy who was taking me through the ceremony, he seemed to be in a being of light. All the plants in the environment, the water, the brickwork, it was just pulsing light. And I think that's what we are. And I was seeing all this fractal imagery. And I mean, I'm 55 now, so I'd done, as a youngster in the 80s and 90s, I'd done mushrooms and acid and things like that. I'd tried things like that. Nothing I'd heard of had prepared me for this awakening. And as I said, my dying mother in 2011 couldn't get me to accept God. But I saw this in minutes. Take us back from that, and I enjoyed that.
Yes, on car.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Well,
I'll take a flight.
Oh, please do. What's your name?
Simon.
Simon. Lovely to meet you. I'm Dave. Nice to meet you, and you Emma, nice to meet you.
You just go on these journeys and then it all comes into place very easily. Some people are just not ready and will never be ready.
Yeah.
And that's
Just plant the seeds, that's all we do.
that's what to do. It doesn't matter if you don't believe anything. You must understand that you have always been right as well. All it is a control of the minds of the people. It's always never been to maintain that power structure, where they want that power structure to lie.
Well, is it also that's kind of like a material explanation of what it is? For me, there is this esoteric, spiritual, soul level thing, and someone I know calls it soul tokens, that you're here to perhaps earn soul tokens or lose soul tokens. And not to say you're going to go to hell or whatever, your life might be hell that you're living now, but it's more like, okay, when you go back, did you learn, or do you need to come back to school? You know, so not seeing it as a frightful or fearful thing, and like, am I going to achieve enough, be good enough, or whatever? I don't preach Puritanism. I think people need to kind of enjoy their lives, have fun, but do it in that kind of knowing. So it's a little bit like how we think about the earth. When people talk about pollution, you know, the truth is that the earth can handle a little oil spill. It'll clean itself. can it handle us just spewing oil over the surface of it? No, and that's the same with your body. You can't just go getting drunk every night of the week and think your biome is not going to die from that. And so, have everything in moderation and have a good life and enjoy what you do and enjoy being who you are, but not on not that you're going to, whether you're going to earn these tokens or not, just live your path, live it well and from honor and truth. Yeah. And honorably. Yeah.
The same will step home and that'll be it. Can I give you mind blown?
And so I know that the people I'm talking to, some of them are not ready for that awakening, and I'm okay with that.
Everyone's at their own different stage, but there are some people
Yeah.
I simply think
No, definitely.
it's not needed either.
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin their life.
Let them play their
And there's
game.
also the yin-yang possibility where there's a dark side and a light side. And I can kind of also resonate with that a bit, and I know that I kind of interact sometimes with dark, but I prefer to be in the light. We all have the dark and the light. It's about balancing the yin and the yang in yourself. But we're so tempted, the 7 deadly sins, so tempted into darker, and so darker ways. And not because we're bad people, just because, we're kind of seduced into that thing, and it's not like you're trying to be bad or harm people, but you end up sort of favoring that. I try and work towards the light stuff. Once again, lovely to talk to you. All the best, you guys.
Time anyway.
All right, cheers. Got any questions on my flyers? Yeah, Canterbury, you cannot live on a spinning rock. Rocks don't float, and water will not run up the side of a bull. What is your evidence, sir? Gravity?
That's nonsense.
Gravity? Gravity is a religion.
That's a bucket.
Gravity is a
Sort your heads out. Sort your heads out.
Gravity is for religious followers of NASA and science. We cannot prove water will do anything but find level. Water at rest will find level. Rocks don't float. Rocks will not float, and gas giants will not coalesce under their own mass. That's all poppycock. The lights in the sky are not rocks. They're lights. There are lights in the sky, people. We call them stars. Don't call them rocks because your religion, NASA, tells you so. Rocks do not float. The bending of time and space is a theory. Time and space are theories. You base your life.
But I'm saying God as we know it, or God as we believe it, the stars are related. So why are all these not?
What life?
So
You mean
why,
about the-
no, I think why is, let's say, positive dissonance, why is kind of essentially sensitive, why are all these not?
Why is it CGI? Why is it created?
Why is it created? To hoax us, to control
Why
us.
though?
Because you know what religion
Several hundred
does.
years ago,
Yeah, you know
we
what
had
religion
evidence of
does,
belief.
right? Religion controls people. Would you agree?
But you've got
Would you
God
agree?
there.
Huh?
You've got
I'm not
God,
talking about religion.
but you've got as your
Okay,
prime
well,
thing.
I
saying
mean, I'm using the
service.
term God because people understand that, but I have no idea what that is. So I'm not talking about a white-bearded man in the sky and all that crap. I don't know what God is, but I think that God is in you. I think that whatever it is, call it fucking shit, toenails, it's in you. That's what I think, and I think that the religions of the world, and now science, or the way that they apply science, theoretical science, is designed to rob that truth from you, not from
But then
me.
you're saying that science has been doing that for over 1,000
Yeah,
years.
well, the usurpation of, okay, so science is often based on consensus. Because there's a science that you and I can test, like, is a football going to come up, if I push it under the water, is it going to float? Yes, we can show that, right? Is boiling water going to burn my hand? Yes. Or is it going to turn to steam at 100 degrees C, or freeze at 0? I can test
Yeah,
those
of course.
things,
Yeah,
yeah?
of course. I don't
That's
deny it.
great
Yeah.
science. But the science of hypothesis and theory is almost like religion now. where it's like, okay, you've got to believe that all of us are standing on the top of a ball. This is relativity, that all of us are standing on the top of the ball, and that ball is spinning so fast, but none of us can feel it or measure it because of the size of it or because of some other
But
factor.
your evidential or your theory of evidence is based on theory.
No.
It's not based on facts.
No, well, okay, so the claim must lie with those saying something unusual. So for example, if you said to a child who's just come out of the jungle of the Amazon or something, and they've never heard a TV or school or anything, and say, you're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour now. And they'd look around and go, no, I'm not moving at all. Prove to me that I'm spinning. So what would you do to prove to that kid that you're spinning?
To prove that we're not. It's
No,
that's what I'm saying. Where
what
does
is
the
it? What in
evidence
your
lie?
environment, right?
Where
What
does
in
the
your
evidence lie
environment?
that we're not.
Okay, so but firstly, what in your environment is showing you that you are?
Well, no, I get where you're coming from. I fully get where you're coming from. But
So if I
as,
said to
for
you
example,
now, we're
an
actually this
astrophotographer,
street isn't
where
moving.
you can physically see the ISS. It's not a.
Okay.
It's not a. You know, it's
What
not
kind of
something
camera do you
dangling.
use for that?
I've got a Canon 5DX and I've got a 1DX that I'm using with a
Okay, I'm going to offer you.
tripod.
I'm going to offer this man a challenge. You can film us both.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it, please.
We
do.
are
Yeah,
we're in public,
absolutely.
and I have no.
No, I'm
issue
very
with
happy.
that.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying it's not someone that's
What's your-
dangling. It's not. There's no aim. I'm actually.
No, what's
very
your name?
Oh, Dan. Sorry, I thought you said
Dan.
my aim. Sorry.
No, I
you
appreciate
know-
your questions, Dan.
No,
My
yeah,
name is
that's
Dave.
what I'm saying.
So let me offer you, because I've looked at this from so many different angles.
Okay.
So the ISS is about the size of a jumbo jet, a bit bigger than a jumbo
Little bit
jet.
bigger, yeah.
Now, when a jumbo jet is flying overhead of us, and you should use your camera to look at it, it's about 6 miles away.
Give or take, yeah.
6 to 7 miles.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And so when you double that distance, you'll know this, you actually halve the size. It's the inverse square law, right? So as you double the distance to 12 miles, it's going to be half that size, 24 miles, half again. So you get my point. Now, all the way out to 250 miles, you've got to then imagine how small that object is going to be. So my test is how much of my camera can I, say, film the moon and fill my viewfinder with the camera, or a star, for example, and then contrast that with something that I can measure on the ground. So if I could say, look, on a clear day, 20 miles across the water at something, a lighthouse or whatever, and bring that fully into my camera, or I could bring it so far into my camera that I can actually see a little man walking inside of there, that would give me a sense of how much my range really works. And when I've done this with the P900, you'll know the Nikon P900.
I don't like it, but current.
Well, it's been a game changer for flat
yeah, very
earthers,
true. I can do that, yeah, I can
because
do that.
you know, they pointed it out
I mean,
at sea.
generally, wildlife's my thing, but I've got international photography.
Okay. So they pointed it out at ships that have gone over the curve, and they've been able to bring those back into full zoom. And so I say, how far are we really seeing? You know, because in our contention on the flat Earth, the stars might actually be almost like a projection that your avatar is encoding. And so that projection could be in the order of less than 100 miles high. And so when you're looking at the moon, it might only be in the clouds like you see it, because we actually often see the moon almost in the clouds. Some people have photographed it in the clouds, and the sun in the clouds. And the clouds are only 1,000 meters, maybe 2,000 meters high. And so if I'm seeing a moon at that range or that height, that means you can't be looking at the same moon if you're 100 miles away from me, because there's no way you'd be able to see such moon in my clouds. And actually on a cloudy night, you'll see that. It'll actually only illuminate around your head. And then down the road to 5 miles, it's black. But your friend who's 10 miles away will say, no, it's only illuminating around my head. So are we all, each of us individually, having an experience of a light, of a perturbation in the environment that we see as the moon, we see as Mercury and Mars, but they're actually very close to us. Very close, and they're traveling very slowly. Like it might be at the order of like 5 miles an hour. It's only traveling a small range that you can see it in the course of a day.
So are you saying that obviously we are flat, but we have other, basically, I don't always formulate in terms of flat earth theories,
Yeah.
but are you saying that the moon, Jupiter, all these areas, these global bodies that are around us, are these globes or are they flat?
These look round to me, but that doesn't say sphere. So when I look at these under the P900, what I see is a round, and you would have seen this with your lovely cameras, what I see is a round disc, and that disc seems to be like a light show doing this. Now, I was taught as a kid growing up that what you see is interference from the atmosphere. The atmosphere is taking that sunlight and turning it into, or rather reflection of sunlight in the case of Mercury and Mars, a reflection of sunlight and turning it into this light show. But now I've
Well,
studied...
we can see different areas of Jupiter through different stages when it's coming through. So that would there formulate that it's not flat.
Have you
Technically speaking.
have you studied cymatics? Have you come across
A little
cymatics?
bit, not too much.
So you understand that cymatics is the putting a frequency on a board kind of thing and shaking it at a frequency, and it takes on these different patterns. So now when I watch this, I'm like, shit, I'm seeing the same movement of energy, if you like, replicated when I look at these stars in the light in the sky, and their Mars and Venus, for example, are moving in different frequency or different rates to each other, and they're definitely this. Mars is always that same, and Venus is always doing this other vibration, right? So I'm seeing vibration in cymatics or vibration in sound. There's a star in a jar experiment where they've taken frequency. You know this, and they can get the star in a jar through doing what? Putting a frequency through water or a medium. So we suggest that there might be, like the Bible says, that God was separating the waters from the waters. That's what it says, that there might be water above. And that water is receiving energy, just like a fruit might do from its skin. It's receiving energy that's coming in as points of light, and that energy is revolving like all living things, just like a rotisserie oven. It needs to turn slowly, and each day it's turning slowly around us, and that energy is bringing to you, into us individually, its own frequency. So the Mars, which is why, the astrology stuff is true if it's not being messed with in the mainstream, is that these things are aligning and having an effect on you depending on when you were born and what your makeup is, because you are a microcosm of that same system. And that same system is intimate. That same system is close, it's small. And I mean, some say that we're actually we could be on like the Big Bang dot, and we're actually just projecting all of this out of us. And that all of this is merely my interaction with you. It's just an projection in like a video game almost. It could be as insane as that, but it does. But for me, because I took DMT or ayahuasca in 2015, I was an atheist and then was transported into a near-death experience that showed me there is a higher thing here. I'm part of a higher self, and that higher self is connected to what we call God or something, everything, and that everything is connected to you,
So more
and all of this.
agnostic then.
Yeah, I mean, rather than choosing a religion, because I think that the religion has always been a divisive thing. If I choose Christianity, I'm unchoosing my Muslim brothers.
A social concept then, which is a religion is a form of control more than anything. So
ligature is in the word, isn't it? Liga.
I'm formerly an atheist. I'm an atheist, but especially on my background, that's why.
Trauma.
Huh?
Trauma.
No, not trauma. No. I mean,
I think we're all traumatized.
I find, I'm, for example, I'm a gay man, and religion has always been a downside of hate. A lot of hatred is born from religion. It's taught. So,
Yep.
we find a lot of most moral social concepts is done through religion. So our laws are built on religion. And it took a long time to get out. I haven't got a lot more time, but it's actually quite interesting.
I'm enjoying the conversation.
I don't agree. I will say that.
Yeah, please don't. You have to find this for yourself.
You've given me one. But,
you have to find. Did you get the blue one? This is the
I'll take the blue one
electromagnetic
anyway.
stuff I was writing. I've got a website, and I haven't written a lot on there, but I'm totally like sympathetic to the idea that we are all traumatized by the system. We discovered I had another child. I had two gone through university. One of them came to Canterbury actually, and then I discovered this stuff 8 years ago, and I said to my wife, we have to have another child, but this time do it differently. No birth certificate, no needles, not at all. We discovered, because I researched the body and what you are, I realized that when they do the heel prick test when you're born, it goes right up your sciatic nerve into your groin. Now your groin is your place of safety in the chakra systems, right? And so if I can smack you there, if you stand on a thorn now as an adult, that it goes right in your heel, fuck, that hurts. But as a brand new child out in the light, you get this complete line. Circumcision, all of these things are being done to hurt us, to traumatize us, so that, because if you traumatize the puppy, it'll always be affected as the adult dog. Always. It'll be jumpy, it'll be submissive or whatever. Something will have been altered in that. It's like you've taken a new ship going into harbour and you coming out of the harbour, and you ding it right in the keel, and that ship's always going to sail a little bit off course, once you know these things, maybe you find it, like I did 8 years ago. I was like, I'm going to clean up my shit, you know, and live and try and walk in honor, knowing what I know about who I am. Even if we never speak again, know that you are an eternal being and that there is no death. This is like a transition from you come to this school, you learn something, hopefully your soul grows, you leave, maybe you come back. I don't
I always like interesting. I'm like I said, I always like learning different viewpoints of different people. That's what society should be.
Yeah, yeah. I mean no harm. Only to try and say, hey, there's something. And now since the last 3 years of funny treatment,
thousands of belief systems, and I believe everyone should be allowed to believe, regardless if people sound ludicrous or anything like that.
Yeah.
I like to challenge people.
And remember, we don't believe in the pancake in space thing. Okay? It's not that at all. It has to be an enclosed system. Water must be enclosed. So we are definitely not trying to sell pancakes and outer space. I'm saying that it has to be enclosed. There's an ice wall. There's an Antarctic treaty that's been in place for over 50 years. Did you know about it? All the big countries of the world signed it. They've been at war with each other for 60 years, and they've never broken this treaty. But Admiral Byrd comes back and says, there's land bigger than America. There's resources that humanity will live for centuries on. And yet we don't go down there. Or the stories that come out of there are very dodgy. And that we can't prove that there's like 24-hour sun there like there is in the north. There's so many things that are wrong with that, and we can't go and test that for ourselves. We have to trust the government. They will allow you through these cruises companies that they control to go onto a peninsula, walk around for a few days, get in a tent, take a picture with a pole, come back and say you've been there, but you haven't. We think that there's possibly a ring surrounding us, and that sometimes that ring melts. Parts of it melt, and that they can get onto other lands that are beyond that. That's all theory, but there are some interesting or tantalizing clues that suggest that that's one of the reasons they hide us on a globe, is that we will never go explore if we think there's nowhere to go. We just go around in circles around Canterbury and we never leave and go and see London.
There's got to be more.
I worked on Old Compton Street in Soho, in London, back in '94 at Compton's.
You've been in the UK for a while.
A long time ago. So I love mankind. You know, I think I went to war as a kid in 87, in Angola.
I was going to say, Afrikaans?
South African. Not Afrikaans, I was born in Poole, but I was raised there, and so for 2 years national service, I believed in the propaganda that the communists were coming to take us down, and we had to stop that. And we go to war in 87 and have the biggest battle victory of the South African Defence Force, and we roll over a tank brigade. And then we get told to stop fighting, and there were 3 other brigades in the area, and we were like, we got to go on. And they made us wait 5 days before we could go and attack, and then we lose. We got attacked. Well, it's a long story, but the point is that I believed once upon a time in that government was for the people, and that this left versus right, communist versus capitalist paradigm was one that we had to fight for, when in fact it's merely like a Catholic versus Protestant, Muslim versus Christian.
Like I said, I won't agree on this, but in terms of those concepts, yes, there's always a left versus right. There's always a two-pole race. I will agree with that, absolutely. Like I say, left turns right, right turns left.
Yes,
very much agree. Happened with Labour and Conservative government in the UK, and it's happened in South Africa with.
2 wings, same bird.
Yep, exactly. I definitely agree with that.
2 cheeks, same arse.
I do a lot of work in South Africa myself, so.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
A lot of what No, it's actually been a bit of a pleasure.
Likewise, man. Likewise. I was only in South Africa a year ago, man. I was down here telling the Africans to stay away from them.
Yeah, I haven't been there for 3 years.
Oh, right.
So, hoping to
You'll go back.
Yeah.
Oh, good luck with that. It's lovely there, Durban.
And it's Eric?
Dave,
sorry, I just saw Eric Dubay.
Eric Dubay, yeah, he wrote a book about this 7-8 years ago, and so a friend of mine made up these banners some time ago, and so I still tote them around, even though I don't talk to Eric
Social
Dubay.
concepts we've got a bit of agree on, but the other stuff, not so much. But
But you know, because I think the one thing we can be sure of is that water, I never got to that when we were talking about spin, water is, you've got to test that, man, and you must know from photography about how your horizon all shrinks in like this. So when you see that compression occurring, that's actually how we lose the ship, rather than it being a curve. You know, there's the salt pans in South America, I forget the name of them, but they do like car adverts of them. They're like a mirror when it rains. Yeah, thousands of square kilometers of that, and you can do these same experiments as a photographer in your mind, or go there and see that and say, shit, see how my friends, as they're walking away or the car's going away, it's all compressing, making it look like it's going away, and I can't see it anymore, it's down there. Yeah, I can bring out my camera and see it again, but eventually I lose it too. And do you put that down to curvature, or is that perspective an angle of resolution? Because when you're standing on the beach, you're at the very bottom angle of your picture. If you went and stand in a hot air balloon at 500 meters, you'd be coming towards the midpoint of that photo. And if you got into the aircraft at 30,000 feet, you'd be well above the shot, so you're actually able to see 100 miles. And when you look over the Mediterranean, as I have, you see ships spotted all over the water, like on a mirror. And that for people on the beach is curvature, because they say it's 3 or 4 miles, and then there's curvature. And the ship's gone away. Well, no, at that height I can tell that it's still flat, as far as I can see. Dan,
Anyway,
have a great life, brother.
You too, brother.
All the best.
Take care, guys. Yeah.
Hi, Earth is flat, not a spinning ball. We be lied to. NASA, ESA is a lie. They do not go to space. Space is fake. The International Space Station is a deception. So what is level? What it is level, my friends. We've been lied to about the spinning ball. Evolution is a lie. We do not emerge from monkeys. Monkeys do not emerge from fish. Fish cannot become monkey. Have a nice. Bonjour. Au revoir. Au revoir.
Is the traduction français?
Sorry, no, English.
Okay. Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Au revoir. Hey guys. Sorry, I had to break the last stream because of it just seems to hang up on the thing. So I know that's really annoying for you guys. Well, I suppose I also drop people watching because I understand why you wouldn't.
Can I just take one to read? Sorry.
Of course you can.
Perfect. Amazing. Thanks so much.
All right, you're welcome. Earth is flat, brothers and sisters. Canterbury. We've been lied to about spinning balls, landing on the moon. We never landed on the moon. That was a hoax designed to make you believe we could go to outer space. Outer space is science fiction. A vacuum of space could not exist against our atmosphere. Our atmosphere would blow away in a heartbeat. Would you like a fly? I've still got this coffee in my hand. Evolution is a lie. You do not emerge from apes. You are created perfect by the Creator. Oh, my coffee is cold now.
C'est pour son daron.
French.
Qu'est-ce qu'il a acheté ça pour se faire? Bah, tu l'achètes quoi?
Are we what? Sorry?
Hello.
Hello.
Thank
I
you.
like your hat.
Oh, thanks.
You know, the governments of the world made that stuff illegal for 70 years because they knew how good it is for us. It's very good for you. It's a good medicine. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the governments made it illegal. Why? Because they don't want us to be healthy. They want us to rather rely on the chemicals.
Yes.
Yeah, pharmacy, you know, Pfizer, that kind of thing. Okay. Yeah? Have a good life.
Thank you.
Oh, take one of these. Did I give you that one? You did. You got that one. Yeah, you're probably going to struggle with this. I'll be honest. I know I'm judging a book by its cover, but we can't prove that water is going to curve. Water always finds level. Can you contend that, sir?
I don't want to be a camera.
Okay. Water always finds level. Water will always find level, friends. Your swimming pool, your bath, your lake is level. If your pool is level, and I make it 5,000 meters long, will it not still be level?
Hello.
Gravity is a lie.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Au revoir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
Bonjour. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Goodbye.
Martin, le bubble tea.
Water will always find its level when at rest. Water will not stick to the outside of a ball. The atmosphere must be contained, otherwise it would be evacuated into a vacuum. Hello. Have a nice trip.
What are you saying?
I'm saying we've been lied to by the Vatican and the government.
By the Vatican? I'm not religious.
Good. Religion is the first order of control. And then when people lost faith in religion, no pun intended, or pun intended, they lost faith in religion, they gave them the science of evolution to say this is where you come from, not from a creator, but from a big bang.
Can they
from
not,
monkeys that
can
came
they
out
not
of the
work
sun.
together?
They
Can
do
there not
work.
be a creator and evolution? Could evolution not be part of the divine's plan?
For billions of years. That's
Are you
a
saying
long
the
term.
divine couldn't have a plan that long?
Well, I suppose, but it'd be like, well, why do that? Why not just create you perfect? Why wait for the monkeys to come from the fact that the dinosaurs
why
went
create
away?
murderers and rapists?
I
the
don't
plan
think-
is
I don't
ineffable.
think God does that. I think that this creation does that. I give people this example. Like if you put 10 puppies in a cage, right? But you only put 3 puppies worth of food in every day, what's going to happen to that little pack of puppies? There's going to be
fight each other.
Yeah, there are going to be dominant ones, and there's going to be the weak ones, and the meek ones. And that's what they've done to us. And they've created this insanity where people are injected in the foot when they're first born. You know, when you come out, if you stand on a thorn now, right in your heel, it's going to hurt. But when you're born, you just come out of your mother's womb, bang, they hit you right in the foot with it. And that goes up your sciatic nerve into your groin. And they immediately unseat you where your power comes from, your groin. They immediately unseat you at birth. So I believe that we've been intentionally misaligned, that our energy has been diseased. So that we are sick.
I agree. I think it's capitalism though, which is the disease, and I think consumer culture creates an impermanence of love and joy that I think is the main issue of the world today.
Cool.
I don't know if gravity existing
well,
is a problem.
Yeah, I think that people seek profits in the boardroom rather than profits of knowing what the truth is. you see?
And happiness and joy.
Yeah. And that should come from, within. But if I get you to go to war with your neighbor or yourself, because a lot of people hate themselves or they hate their neighbor. They're like, yeah, he should pay more tax. He should, you can't do that anymore. You shouldn't do this, or that country can't do that. And we're doing that all the time to each other. So we're actually hating on ourselves. But that's through propaganda, right? We're doing that through propaganda. But how would the difference for me anyway, because I was a globe believer and an atheist up until the age of 47. So I was all for all of that stuff. Right? Not for war and stuff like that. I was in war myself, but I wasn't up for war. I thought that mankind is just this evolved ape and this is all the best we can do. But now I realize that, oh my gosh, this place, if it's a flat earth, enclosed flat earth, then it was created on purpose. It didn't have to wait 4 billion years for the dinosaurs to get wiped out, right? This was made without dinosaurs. It was made with the intention of having God's creation, you, have an experience of itself. Like I say, imagine like this.
Absolutely, I believe what you're saying, that I think that consciousness is the manifestation of God within beings, like consciousness is how God experiences the world through us.
Yes, exactly. God experiences itself. Whatever God is.
Yeah, exactly.
God experiences itself through us. It's like if I was everything, just imagine I was everything, then I wouldn't be able to be hot and cold.
I believe that. I didn't believe in, I'm not specifically religious, but I didn't believe in a God until I started learning about philosophy. And then I started believing that there has to be a God. Because that's the only thing that makes sense. Because if lower existence exists, then higher existence must exist. It's two sides of the same coin.
Yeah. So I think
so
that
how was flat Earth
instrumental in that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd had the DMT experience in 2015, early 2015, and then I found flat Earth.
DMT.
Ayahuasca.
Yeah. No, I know.
Okay. So that I was an atheist before that, and minutes later I was a Noah.
Where'd you get your hands on it?
I was in Johannesburg on a book tour, actually. And a friend of mine had lived in the Himalayas, tattoos over every part of his body. Like, hey, you've got to try this. And he put me through the ceremony, and it was life-changing. And I saw things that I'd never heard of and never would have believed myself, right? And my dying mother couldn't get me to believe that stuff. So that was the start for me. Then a few months later, or a few weeks later, I find flat Earth, and I'm willing to look at it because I'm like, shit, nothing I knew was true, since my experience. So I look at that, and once I got over the original kind of like disinfo, because there's a lot of disinfo. Even in 2015, there was a lot of like YouTube will push you all the like the disinfo, making fun of what flat Earth is. It's all flat Earth society bullshit. So I'll get past that and I'll go, shit, it's true. Like what I read in the Bible as a kid doing Bible study is true. It's like this is what it said. I used to tease my pastor about this. Like the Bible's out of touch. It says the Earth isn't moving and blah 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 blah. You know, the whole creation story doesn't fit with what science tells us happened with the sun coming before the Earth and all that. So that was like the big wake-up call for me. And then I'm like, wow, that means that this place is created for us, maybe by us. We might be the creator, but in scales down. You know, like I said to people, like if you cut open the orange and you take out one cell of the orange, it's perfect orange. Tastes orange, looks orange, has its own little cell around it, but it's not the whole. And I think that's what we are. I think we are one cell of the orange, if you like, inside the orange of whatever God is, whatever the creator is. And it's all electromagnetic. It's all vibration. This is what I saw in the DMT.
Oh, so no, everything is... I completely agree. I have a similar psychedelic experiences where I have learned to believe in waves and vibrations being everything across the 11 dimensions. 100%. I believe that.
Light frequency and sound.
Yeah. But still, I don't understand how the world being flat... I understand that was your gateway into
it's a gateway
believing into this new truth. But how is the Earth being flat specifically important within this?
Because you see, I mean, having come from a globalist, heliocentrist mindset, a Darwinist mindset, I know how that made me feel. The difference between that being an insignificant bit of stardust, there's one of grains of sand and all that sort of stuff, and there's billions of planets out there, and there's all these galaxies and all the shit that's out there that they tell us. None of that's true. Everything is centered on this. This is the center of everything. And even the WMAP that they used to do, I don't know if they still do it, the background radiation survey they would do, would always put Earth right at the center. And it's a philosophical problem for them because they do not want Earth to be at the center. They've been pushing Earth out for years. Ptolemy, I think it was, that still had Earth as geocentric. It was still like everything went around the Earth. You know, it took them 1,000 years or so to kind of push Earth into the insignificance of being simply a little rock of billions of rocks out there, trillions of them, in fact, that are just all whizzing around like atoms. And I don't even believe in atoms anymore because I think it's all wave, it's all frequency, it's all vibration.
But do you not think an atom is made of quarks, which is made of waves?
Okay. In the quantum, so once you get to quantum, it starts to make more sense to me. I had to go and study quantum 3 or 4 years ago because once I got into this, I was like, all right, this leads me to trying to understand what quantum is saying. And now I listen to quantum professors and go, shit, if only you knew what I knew, because how you're describing how it works at the quantum level matches electromagnetic toroidal systems perfectly. You know, that there is no, because they'll tell you that we can't say exactly where the atom is or where the nucleus is or any of these things. But we can say with 97% certainty it's going to be within this range. And I'm like, that range looks like a torus. That looks like it's, if you can speed something up so fast and get it going around 1 trillion times in a second, for example, it's going to create that torus shape. And that's what they're seeing, but they can't call it that because they're doing it from the Newtonian, like there's a little speck of dust, like a little
there's
atom.
Something physical that
something
you can touch.
Exactly, which I don't think it is. I don't think, although I see your bike and feel the metal and tire and all this, on the DMT, everything was waves. And as much as my eyes, I was super intelligent, and as much as my eyes during that time were like I was trying to say, let me try and resolve the stuff around me back to brick and to plants and so on. I couldn't. It was just light. And a hum, a vibration. That everything has a vibration to it, a hum.
He's right here.
That's the world that we live in. It's almost like an avatar. It's almost like a simulation type idea.
Yeah, no, I completely believe. I think if the universe is a simulation, then like God would be the computer program that it's running on, and the computer and the hardware and stuff, you know. But you just said that the Earth being flat, that was important because it centers this revelation on the world. The world is the center of the universe and God's creation.
And even more so, that actually it makes you the center.
Which gives you the enlightenment and the different state of mind. So if I had...
necessarily, because I wouldn't go so far as to say it gives you the enlightenment, because I think you still have to work for it. Simply knowing that truth doesn't then right the wrongs, if you like. If you know, like I say to people, if I've been, my hull of my ship has been dented from birth, and all these things have been done to kind of steer me off course, then I'm not going to find one nugget of information and that's going to right the course. I'm going to have to work that back. I'm going to have to work myself back to the right course. I'm going to have to live the way of that true narrow path that they talk about. I can't just simply have this information off YouTube and go, shit, I've done it, man. I can sit here on my sofa and just carry on like I was, because I know that the earth is flat and I'm the center of creation. No, there's a responsibility, and I think that's why a lot of people shun it. They don't shy away from it, because it's like, shit, that does really mean that you are the expression of God or creator, source, and you can, if you choose, walk in the way of the warrior, walk the way of, wow, I can walk for God.
So it's the kind of, the whole way of being that comes after realization that is important. So what if instead of
being,
if
my
me
wife is telling me that
not being a flat,
it comes back to be is the same as I am. She was telling me the roots of that this morning, actually, and sorry honey, I can't remember if you're listening, but the I am, you are.
think therefore I am.
Yeah, but I think, well, yes, but I think you are, I know sounds a bit new age, but you are whatever, at 7 levels down perhaps, you are whatever, you are the expression of that.
Yeah. So if it's the expression of all of this, if I had the same outlook on life as you, but I didn't believe in the flat earth, and yet I didn't have a nihilistic outlook on life, I believed in God and I believed that I was the centre of the universe. Yeah. Would it matter that I didn't believe in a flat earth?
That's a great question. What's your name?
Connor.
Connor, I'm Dave.
Nice to meet you, Dave.
Let me tell you, Connor, that's a fantastic question, honestly. I think that why it matters, in my view, is that if I've poisoned your well, and you're not able to take that poison out of the well, then there's a reason I poisoned that well, and there's a scarring or a damaging.
So we need to come together on the same opinion so we can fight the people who are poisoning our well and stop that from happening?
No, so when you walk on this path, then you realise that the fighting is the yin to the yang to the yin.
Well, a fight, I mean like politically fighting against the other ideologies.
No, because I don't think that the change happens from without.
Really? Not even educationally? If we changed our education system to teach something else, then it wouldn't...
I agree on that point.
So that's how I mean politically, politically, then educationally changing. So that's why we need to all have the same view.
So the first thing I said after the DMT is, wow, it's true, there is a God. The second thing I said is, why isn't every 16-year-old shown this, given this, so that they can see who and what we are? I said that.
Yeah.
And if for me, obviously, the education system is a mind control system, and it's a system that creates factory-made sausages to come out the other side of 12 or 15 years of indoctrination. And I see that I've been to a few university towns and places like this, and I see what it's done to them. My own children have been through the same indoctrination. My younger child, none. I'm not putting him through any of that. Yeah. I hope not to anyway. So if I was to effect change, then my channel gets shadow banned because this is not a topic that the government wants to have out. So I come into the street because I know that I can reach people, because until there is a critical mass of people who say, hey, we're being mistaught, no one's going to be willing to challenge the status quo, and they will go along with whatever mandates and lockdowns and whatever shit else that comes their way, and they will pay taxes and they will send their kids to become taxpayers and all of that sort of stuff. And rather than, wow, let's inform ourselves as to who we are. And as I said, so the change without can only come after the change within. Like, look at when we look at someone's skin condition, for example, we'll say we can tell from their skin condition how healthy they are inside. Yeah, so that's not often a good indicator as to someone's eyes will be yellow or their skin will be porcelain or whatever, because they are unwell. And so how do you fix that? Not by putting cream. Hello, have a flyer. I missed a great gaggle of French students. Anyway, there's a lot of them in town today.
I know, yes, I've just had them at work.
Yeah, oh, right.
Anyway,
just this point to say that I think that until you clean up your diet, the person cleans up their diet, their external is not going to be great. Yeah. So that's the same
kind of
with
like
this.
chakras.
You are,
have
yeah.
to align the chakras, starts from within.
Yeah, so you're an energetic body. If you understand the chakras, you know that you are these energy wheels, and these energy wheels can be messed with, they can be tampered with, and that's what's happened. And until you realign them, and almost like the Christian cross, get them in alignment, whether it be left and right, up and down, the brain, the groin, everything in between. You've got to get these things into the center point, then you are in your heart, and then you are emanating from love, and you are walking your best true path. And if you do that, and a million other people are doing that, and then the next generation comes along and they do something different, then that's how that's how goodness rises. However, the truth is that this government or the governments of the world are in collusion. We saw in the last 3 years how they treated us, and we're going to see a lot more of that kind of draconian control. 15-minute cities are coming to a lot of places, more curtails and control, and most people are going along with it. That's why I put here on one of them, are you a believer? And I put you as in a sheep you over there, because I think that we are, unfortunately, and I was one, a sheep going along with what I was conditioned through the education system. So it will change eventually, but really the change has to happen from within. Because if you let Shawshank, Shawshank Redemption, prison.
Oh, I haven't seen it, but prison.
But any prison situation doesn't matter. It's like this hard case prison, right? If you just open the gates on any given day and just let those guys run out, there would be some mayhem to come from it. And the same is true with this reality, is that if everybody was just, here's the
unleashed into the new...
Yeah, and you don't have to do any work, just carry on being Joe Schmo, going to work and doing all the stuff that you were doing, then that's not going to bring about enlightenment. In fact, if you gave everybody $1 million, they'd probably go, many would spend it on just junk, on material junk.
The only thing I worry about in conversation like this is
Let me just grab my coffee here. I'm so thirsty, carry on. It's Dan, eh? Dan.
The only thing I worry about with conversation like this... Now listen, I will be upfront with you. I don't believe in a flat Earth.
That's all right.
I believe everything is a wave. I feel like we overlap in some places, but some places I differ in beliefs.
Take my other
The only thing...
The electromagnetic one. That's what I think we are. Taurus.
But we may disagree on this, but I think our common enemy would be the systems in which keep us believing in things that are lies, right? So that is the enemy, the systems which keep us in place and keep us mentally from not evolving or growing. I think the government, in conversations like this, pushes people to be divisive and push people apart. See, whereas we have these different beliefs, I don't believe in a flat Earth, I do believe in waves, blah, blah, whatever. I would like to find common ground with you, but I feel like the narrative that is being pushed is to divide factions where you can. So although we have different beliefs, and I would also want to, not want people to think of a meaningless existence when they think of the universe. And I would like people to be happy and feel like they are the centre of the earth and everything that they do is the most important thing, because God, maybe not any God specifically, but just God is working through you. I feel like that's the true narrative, but I don't want to be against people just because I don't believe in a flat Earth.
Yeah, no, well, that's a beautiful. It's Connor, right?
Yeah, Dave?
So that's a beautiful place to be, and I don't need to drum that into you. You've heard me say that I think that it's the reason why we were given this poison, because it's going to have some effect on us. Same as a Catholic child is circumcised, because it's going to have an effect on their psychology. So, you've heard me say that. I don't need to repeat that, Connor. But, it's a beautiful, it's a good, and for a young man, it's a really good place to be. And I think as you go through your life, you will work out what you need to work out, and if it starts to make more sense to you, because we are in agreement, I think it is waves. I think quantum stuff makes so much sense to me, and I only really study quantum after flat Earth, and I could still see it. I can even see the word of God. When you start to do all the drawings, the geometric, I can see the word God in that. But for me, that word doesn't mean as much as it does for someone who's in a religion. It just means what we understand to be the source of everything. It's a loving thing. I honor it, but I don't need to worship it. In the same way as I don't need my son to worship me. Just we have a mutual respect. I'm the father, he's the son. Eventually he might become father, and maybe that's because the word Satan used to be pronounced Satan, which means opponent. And so maybe it's the case that and so it's maybe the case that we're meant to have an opponent here. because God, let's just say he just came down and it was always paradise. You'd be like, okay, that's getting a little boring. I need a bit of a test, and I need to be tested. And that's what I think that might be going on here, is that it's,
Really?
and the secret societies actually know this, that they're actually meant to be creating a division so that you can work it out for yourself, rather
See, I
than...
can't believe that there's something other than God. Because in my eyes, I see God philosophically in the premise that because we're experiencing life on this plane of existence, there must be a higher plane of existence that is all consuming of all of this experience.
But when God
It's like
divides, when God divides, Connor, the first split is two. On and off. Yin and yang. Black and white. Dark and light. Hot and cold. This is male and female. This is the first division of the one, of the zero. Becoming...
So do you not think male and female are still both part of God though, right?
Yeah.
So the idea that God is all good and there is something different that is not good, which is outside of God,
No,
I can't believe in.
I can't
because
believe that either.
it would have to be
It has to
within
be
God
within
itself.
God. That's why I say to religious folks, I say, whatever the devil is, if you believe in that, or Satan, whatever it
It's a
is,
part of
that's
God.
inside God,
Yeah.
and therefore can never be greater than God, even though it may have a time, just like in the winter, the dark is longer, and in the summer the light is longer. And I think that that's maybe how this place works, is that over time there is periods of dark and periods of light. And we happen to be in a period of constriction. And that constriction will last until people say, oh, no, okay, we mature out of that. But we mature out of that from within. And those survivors, if you look into how humanity may have been reset, like the Noah's flood story, they say it's 6,000 years in the Bible, it might be less than 600 years in reality. We think that humanity has been reseeded and come back. After times, there were higher cultures. The people who built this cathedral here were higher than we are, probably bigger than we are as well. Because our whole history is mistaught, that we've just come from the cave over 12,000 years, and we stumbled over the pyramids, and then which we can't build today. And then we've got these beautiful cathedrals from 1,000 years ago, they're from horse and cart people who were sparsely populated on the earth, and all this sort of shit. Just because they were pious, they built these buildings that we can't really do today.
Yeah.
So no, we think that we are in a possibly in a training school, and that training school has to have fire. How do you temper the steel? But you've got to put it through the fire. And if you are to come through and it's not to say that there's like a winner and a loser, or if you don't do it, bad on you kind of thing. It's just that I think it's like high school and university. These people are ready for a certain graduation at a certain time, and as they move up the levels, then maybe that's what your soul is up to here. Is it's moving up the levels, and perhaps you're a few levels higher than a lot of your peers, because you kind of come to a lot of this truth without all the despite all the bullshit.
Oh, I see.
Anyway.
That's okay. It was nice to meet you, and have a nice rest of your day. All
Cheers,
right.
brother. Cheers. Wow, make my chat fun.
This is Dave.
Hello, Dave. Nice to meet you. Well, I'm just thrilled and probably shocked
Thank you.
both ways, and I just couldn't believe that this really truly exists.
Okay. I met a guy, looks quite similar to you actually, 5 years ago in Hyde Park. He worked on a London tour bus guide, and he was wearing a uniform, and he approached me. I was in Mayfair, and I'd been writing on the street like this, and he walked past me, because down there 20 meters I'd written down there as well, and then I was far up here, and he turned back from around there and he says, "Hey, is this true?" I said, "Yes, brother." He said, "Yes!" He's got a coffee in his hand. He threw the coffee into the street like this. I knew it was true. I knew it was true. And he ran off. He was so thrilled to know. And a young lady did the same for me in Trafalgar Square, man. It was over the moon to go, wow, man. I thought it, and in fact, just the other day, a young schoolgirl said, "No, I know we're not spinning." And you know how it messes with your mind when you believe.
Does, actually, and it messes up with everything.
Yes.
Not just your mind, but it messes up with your entire being and everything. And I'm so surprised to have this. See, my culture and my background tells me everything is in me.
Awesome.
everything. Don't look at it. Don't look for that out there. It's in you. Yeah, and if you really want to be good, it's in there.
Yes.
Yeah, you are God.
Yes.
That's my dad told me all the time. But this is a big surprise.
What's your name?
Israel.
Israel. I'm Dave.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
And where are you from originally?
Originally I'm from Ghana.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was in South Africa
Are you gonna
recently.
put this live?
Yeah, it's live, yeah.
Oh my goodness!
You can tell your friend, there's a YouTube channel here.
Yeah.
Tell your friends in Ghana that come. But I was in South Africa. I lost the YouTube channel that I had when I was in South Africa a year ago.
Yeah.
But South Africans, they know this, man. The black South Africans, they know this intrinsically about God being within. The Europeans have lost their way a bit. But I know that this is held. So we're going back to South Africa.
If you want to find the balance, you find it in you. Everything is in you. We're just being distracted every day.
Well, I say it's like the Christian cross.
They don't want us to trust ourselves.
It's like the Christian cross. Your body is like the cross, and the center of that is your heart.
Yeah.
The heart is.
A lot of ideologies right now there, but this is a real shock to me. I'd never known this, and I don't know. It's quite a surprise.
It's Hebrew. In the Hebrew Bible, describes the earth as having a roof and a basement called Sheol, like an underside. But it's all like a ball, if you like, and we're inside that. Like an orange. I say, cut an orange open and let it fall open where the seeds are in the middle. That's where we are. That's the continents. And at the microcosm, that's you.
So the sun isn't moving.
The sun is moving.
The other planets aren't moving.
They're moving. Everything's moving.
So why isn't the earth moving then?
Well, this is how I think it works. That we live on a stationary plane over which lights are coming across, like you at the disco.
Yeah.
That you're in a nightclub, and the lights are turning very slowly, once a day. The lights are turning. Same with the sun, same with the moon. Now the sun, the moon, and the 5 or 7 wandering stars, Mars, Venus, Mercury, these are moving at their own pace. These move at their own pace. That's why the Venus and Mercury can move around, but the zodiac, Jupiter, Aries, Pisces, all these things, Orion's belt, they all move as one. But depending on where you happen to stand, if you're by the equator, then these things are moving kind of over your head. But as you go through the South Pole or towards South Africa, they start to kind of look over there in the sky. But as you come to Europe, they're over there, but you lose some of them because they're now too far away, the Southern Cross and some of the others when you're in the north here. So you will see in Ghana, you'll see some of the same stars that you see here, but not all because of the range.
So the range is far.
Yeah, because these things are not necessarily high in the sky. So you can do that with a long hallway or whatever.
So this is not a flat earth thing, is it?
No, it's not flatter than
Because there's some people out there who think the earth is flat.
No.
And all sort of kind of like information out there.
Yeah.
Which is far different from what we studied in the school. And probably we understood that better because that's what we're living with. And it's an eye opener reading about all these. I don't know how far this knowledge has gone. But I just hope that the information gets as far as we want it to go.
It gets restricted on the YouTube and stuff. I've been banned and so on for this kind of work I do. Israel, but there are thousands, if not millions now, of people around the world who are talking about this, who are saying, hey man, that we can, people who are really good with technology, they look at the NASA footage and you see all the faking.
Are NASA footage real, are they?
No,
Yeah,
they
no,
do
listen,
it
we're
with
not religious.
harnesses to make it look
But
like
we
they're
are
floating.
God.
Or they use that airplane that can make them float for 45 seconds.
Really?
Yeah. And they just deck that out with
So all these floating guys we see in the aeroplane, in the
Spacewalk. Swimming pool. And that's
You're
done
joking.
That's done.
They're
in
not
Ghana.
swimming pools.
They're in a
You
swimming
don't
pool.
win anything from
You don't.
falling off the edge.
You know what happens. You know.
It's on and on.
Yeah, it's enclosed. It's enclosed. Water must be enclosed. But let me tell you this.
That is a shame. So I'd
so
love to
it's
hold
flat.
would
It's
I.
flat. What, like, so do you believe in
Let's
gravity?
go find it.
Believe. I try not to have belief. That's for religious people.
No. Right, so I mean, you can still believe something.
So if I drop this,
Yeah, it's called.
does that mean water's going to fall under? No, it's
Yeah, probably actually, I reckon.
but you can't
Have you poured a glass of water out before?
and it falls.
Do you expect it to fall into the glass?
What do I think?
I think it'd probably have the same
Form around
effect
the
at the end
outside
of
of
the
the
earth,
ball.
wouldn't it? Have a lovely day, my friend. You be good.
I'm gonna go do some printing. So reading about that.
Yeah. Well, you got my information
All
here,
right.
sir.
Is it?
Yeah, well, it's okay. I met a guy a man ago who said, "Is it true you're walking up the side of Africa?" And the Nile is running uphill. No, these things are not true.
It's getting so interesting. So I'm gonna go read a lot about this.
The sea is level from east coast of Africa to west coast of Africa, same. You just go up the mountains and you come down again, same. It's created by God or some creator.
I will read it.
Thanks, Israel.
All right. Thanks for
Good
the
luck,
time.
brother. Okay, so I think somehow I'm losing my chat all the time. I might have to start that again. Well, it's not that it's gone off, but it's like it's failing.